A special sitting of the Tshwane Council had to be abandoned yesterday after half the chamber did not attend. The meeting was called by the EFF and ANC, who wanted to debate the ongoing protests by some affiliated municipal workers. The DA and Action SA councillors refused to attend the sitting, calling it a bid by the EFF and ANC to undermine the city's position on salary hikes as well as the dismissal of striking workers. We take a look at this with political analyst Professor Andre Duvenage. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon, Prof. What is your interpretation of what's going on here?
Good afternoon, Dudu. Yes, my interpretation is in short that there's a lack of order, there's a lack of stability, and there are actors not functioning within the broader framework of the law. If we just take into consideration this is a 5-week unprotected strike, there's already a court interdict, people must go back, but they are still continuing with the strike, undermining service delivery, and it seems as if they are receiving the support from political actors like the EFF. We know they were attacking, some workers were attacking people responsible for service delivery. There were shooting incidents. They were blocking people doing their work, referring to the firefighter problem there. So yes, it's lack of order, and at this point in time, we cannot afford it. But I would like to link it to a bigger pattern I'm observing in South Africa. We have seen the taxi violence in Cape Town a time ago. We have seen the problems in Swellendam, also in the Mossel Bay environment. And to me, it is part of destabilizing political environments. And that is a reason for concern.
Destabilizing political environments to what end?
Well, I think the backdrop is that the areas I refer to, opposition groups are dominant. It's interesting that where opposition parties and or coalitions are dominant, it seems as if violence are more prominent in these environments. I think it's against the backdrop of building up towards the 2024 elections. We know there are a number of challenges for the ruling party in this regard, and I think they are consolidating their support, and in a way the EFF is also capitalizing on these patterns of instability, trying to build a radical political support base and image.
Is there a lack of political maturity on all sides, in a nutshell? It would appear it's a victimless crime. The only victims would be residents who are not getting their services. It's still debatable about the municipal workers because that issue is still playing itself out even in the courts. But when it comes to political leadership, has there been a lack there on all fronts?
Well, I think there's definitely a lack of political leadership. There's a lack of mature leadership, but there's also a lack of leadership working in terms of the common good. It seems as if the private good and private interests stands at the center of decision-making and related political actions. It's also reflecting the high levels of conflict within our bigger society, lack of social cohesion, and latent conflict potential. And if we just look at other environments, I think about 80% of all municipalities in South Africa at the moment have forms of dysfunctionality. And it seems as if this dysfunctionality has reached an extreme in some of the metro areas. And again, I am at the thesis of opposition versus government, referring to opposition groupings, DA and others on the one side, and the ANC on its own on the one side, sometimes supported by the EFF.
what then does the electorate do? Many are asking themselves, who do we vote for? Whether we're voting or not, that's not even up for debate. People are clear. Well, some people are clear they will be voting, but who to vote for? Still a question mark around that.
Well, indeed, yeah. At this point, I think many people are uncertain which way to go. Generally speaking, we have a very conservative tradition when it comes to voting, and people like voting for their previous party again. But I think we are at a bit of the crossroads at the moment. We have seen what happened in the 2021 local elections, coming out with something like about 70 hung councils. Now, it's not impossible that we may see coalition politics on provincial level. I think Gauteng is probably a case in this regard, maybe also KZN, but I think in other cases the ANC is relatively safe achieving their majority. But again, there are questions which people will vote ANC and which will go the more radical way of a party like the EFF. The point I like to make at this point in time, it is not clear-cut. The ANC cannot be 100% certain of achieving an absolute majority when it comes to the 2024 local election, national and provincial elections.
Prof, I think you've mentioned radical twice in reference to the EFF. What does radical mean in this context?
Well, a radical means to me attempts to bring about change, sometimes in a violent way, using violence in order to obtain certain goals. In other words, functioning outside the framework of the existing law and what is prescribed in terms of the law.
When has the EFF done that?
Well, they are using it several times when you are mobilizing and organizing support. For example, you're going against a court interdict. Then you are working against the law. You are mobilizing people under the banner of kill the boer, kill the farmer. These are, according to my assessment, functioning outside of the law frame and is part of hate speech. They are not functioning within the existing rule of law defined in terms of democratic principles.
Professor Andre Duvenage, thank you very much for your time.